This podcast is to explain about our fantastic, unique, hands-off investment product. On average, you can make 20 to 60% return on investment, and some say that we're working in the background to have it FCA approved.
There'll be loads of people that want to try and copy it. Good luck.
We put our money where our mouth is. We get paid our money. When we sell the building, you get 15% of it.
There's nothing else on the market that's actually doing this at the moment. Nowhere that's doing it in such a secure way.
I think it's fair to say this investment is what good looks like, right? Welcome back to the CEO and the Founder, our amazing podcast. I'm sat here with my business partner, Christian Woollard. If you're watching on directly from our last podcast, this podcast is to explain about our fantastic, unique, hands-off investment product. Now, some say it's that secure, it's fixed against an asset that you own a fraction of. You can have fractions in 10, 20, 30, 40, all the way up to 100. Some say it's already leased out for 25 years. Some say you're going to sell it back to me in 2 years' time. On average, you can make 20 to 60% return on investment. And some say that we're working in the background to have it FCA approved. It's exciting. I'm going to hand you over to Christian to explain more.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
Indeed. We've taken months and months and months working on this. It's cost us millions of pounds to get to the stage where we're at. Yeah. Lewis, when I first met Lewis, had no grey hair. And now he has a few, but he's happy with that because he likes to have grey hair.
Silver fox.
So this is
anyway.
This is a great product. Basically, we had own the asset outright, where clients could buy a property which we'd already inserted a 25-year lease, secure lease that is, with a tier 1 housing provider, rock solid, and where we worked in the background to resell that product on to pension funds at a lower yield base, so that client would get a pretty much guaranteed 10% return, plus they owned the asset, and then it would roll into, when we sold it, they'd get an uplift, which is fantastic, and we're still selling that product, and it's a brilliant product. But we had a number of clients reach out to us, said, I want to get involved in this, but as it's a cash purchase, I don't have 150, 160, 70,000 pounds to put into that. Are you able to do the unique thing and get creative and come up with a product where we can get involved at a lower entry point? And so the iterations that we've gone through to create the fractional own the asset, and the many evenings and late nights, weekends, legal teams that we've been working on.
And the cost.
and the cost, not forget the cost. We have now launched the fractional element of own the asset, where we basically carve up each apartment unit into fractional elements, basically tens. So you can buy a 10% fractional, or you can buy an 80, 70, 60, whatever suits your budget. The entry level of this is around the £16,000 mark. And what you get from that is we are purchasing all the property. So we're controlling and owning the property, and then we're selling you the fractional rights to the income. We call it a coupon, the way we're structuring it. So you get the fractional coupon rights for the full term of the contract, and you get a fractional rights to the resale value of the property when we get creative and sell it on. Now, typically, we are working on a business model between year 1 and year 5, where we sell each apartment block. So there's multiple fractional ownerships within the apartment block, in terms of we own the property and you own the fractional rights to it. And then when a whole block is sold, it might be 2 blocks, 3 blocks, we wrap that all up together as a yield-based asset, and we sell that on to pension funds, wealth management, asset management groups, because it's got a very long tenancy in place, which is rock solid. The last one that was done was sold to Canada Life, but we're dealing with multitudes, and I don't want to give a whole advertising prologue to the different organisations, but they're global top pension and asset wealth management groups that we sell to. When that happens, they typically buy at a clip rate of between 10 and 20 million in each hit, and we look to sell on at a 4.5% to 5.5% yield-based asset, bearing in mind that the fractional is running at a 10% asset base, yield-based asset at inception, which is CPI linked +1. So the rents will never come down, so the income will never go down. It will only go up in accordance to inflation.
So those that don't know, CPI link is inflation.
Yeah, it's a consumer purchase index. So it's basically looking and tracking inflation and to the rents. So if you had a 25-year lease and you got £1,000 in year one, you got £1,000 in year 25. In year 25, that £1,000 is probably going to be worth about £300. So it just keeps the rents going up. And so ultimately, you as an individual, whilst there's the security of a long lease in place, we own the asset. It's a long lease for us. We own 150-year leases with the 25-year tenant in place. You as the individual can get involved into this, enjoy the returns on a quarterly basis, which annualized is roughly 10%, works out roughly 10% per annum. That's your coupon rate. And then when we sell, we look to get a uplift, and that uplift to you is a minimum of 115% of your initial investment back to you. And that's typically between, as I said, year 1 to year 5.
Yeah.
And so basically you're looking at an ROI ultimately of anywhere between 40 and 60%. It could even be higher because it's, as a minimum, we're giving you the 115% up. Now, this is open to, and there's nothing else on the market that's actually doing this at the moment. There is nowhere, and I know, having spent so many hours toiling with this, there's nowhere that's doing this, nowhere that's doing it in such a secure way. We have a dedicated law firm that are specialists in regulatory and compliance. So we work with them. They've written all of the contracts. It's belt and braces for you, for us, in the way it's structured. A lot of time has gone into that. And from a product position, in terms of security and in terms of return for you, not just in the interim, but the ultimate return as well, I personally think this is an absolutely amazing product to get involved with, and we're proud as individuals to launch this. Now it's open and available to private companies. So if you have a limited company you want to invest, that's not a problem. You can come on board. We have a number of high net worth and experienced investors, so it's also open directly to them to get involved. And in the background, because putting this to the mass market, which is classed as the retail market, so retail consumer market, it is a collective investment scheme. And so to offer it out to individuals that aren't classed as a limited company or an experienced investor, we've had to go down the route of the FCA regulation for those people. And we are in that journey. And that is something that will be released slightly later on down the line, hopefully within the next month. But ultimately, it's backed not only by the housing provider who is FCA regulated, but then ultimately by us having FCA regulation for the consumer, the retail market. It's a fantastic opportunity. We have headroom. We have over 600 apartment blocks that we're taking on into our name, and we are fractionally offering those out to our clients. And we're really looking forward to you enjoying the journey with us, and get excited because it's fantastic. And the reach out we've already had has really confounded and confirmed our belief in actually putting all the energy and money into this product as we have.
Again, I think, look, well done. That was the best way to explain it. We need to make sure that we're explaining this accurately enough, because like Christian said, and no jokes aside, we have put millions of our own money into making this work over the last 6 months. We're 99.9% there. Like you said, with the companies that we've had to work with and the hoops we've jumped through, and rightly so. It was an idea that we both had, and it's come from feedback from our investors. So just a few things that I want to touch on, just to confirm. They're brand new apartments.
Yeah.
So these are all brand new, highly modified, not necessarily high-end apartments, but they're brand new and modern apartments. These aren't...
Well, they might be in old buildings, but are being converted.
Correct, yeah. Correct. So that you're buying ownership into, or the actual properties that have been, they're brand new. They're it's not like a brand new development. It's a building that's been converted exactly for this. Now, when we say it's our new investment product, just so everyone else understands, we are exclusive to this cycle. There's a cycle, and in that cycle, there's a government agency, an award-winning government agency, who have over 25 to some, depending on the fluctuations of the year, 25 to 50,000 people they support on a daily basis. There's a property developer who's award-winning developer, and then there's the Unique Property Group that has exclusive rights to sell all this. There, like you said, there's no one else selling it.
Yep.
So just to confirm a few things, they're brand new assets. They're already leased for 25 years. So we're not trying to do something and then trying to get it leased. It's already leased for 25 years. Like Christian said, these operations, I wouldn't say they're new to us. They're new in the last year or so. The organisation in the background that we exclusively work with, this isn't us selling it as an estate agent. They only work with us. And that's something we're very proud of.
Yep.
And we've won that a contract over the last couple of years. We've proved ourselves and some. We've converted our whole business into doing this. Hence why we've been given an opportunity to take it to the next level. The government agent, like I said, has been going for 25 years. You know the directors extremely well. And a lot of people say, well, it's all based on what if you don't sell it? Let me try and explain this way and jump in if I'm wrong. There's a cycle that goes on here, and it's built around the assisted living model. People need this in their lives on a daily basis. Over the next 5 years, it's only going to get worse as people get older. And I think the government allowing these operations to happen is the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. Why would you want to get to a certain age in your population and just focus on the young ones, so to speak? So this is the right thing to do, right? So going back to it, they're already leased for 25 years. Now, a lot of people say there's three elements to the investment. So there's the capital investment that you put back, which is fully protected. You're going to get that back at the end of the term, but you get it back with a 15% uplift or resale, sorry.
As a minimum.
As a minimum, sorry. So it's 50, let's call it 15%. So let's say, for example, if it was 100 grand, it'd be 115 grand, right?
Yeah.
Then you've got your rent, you're getting paid anyway. Quarterly, you said, so you've got that. Then you've got your capital, you get back. So there's three elements to it. Hence, there's the 20 to 60%. So just so people understand, if it was in the first year, it'd be 20%. More to the 60% is the fifth year. Now, a lot of people say, or not a lot of people, recently we've done a lot of research. They say, well, what happens if you don't resell it? It's a great question, right? And just so everyone's listening, imagine a cycle. And this is the truth. We have a cycle of, and it's based around a requirement from the government agencies to house certain people. We work with the wealth management groups and the property developers and us and investors and our group and the government agency all in one cycle. So before they go and purchase a property, it's already put through the wealth management group, say we're purchasing this. This is what we're going to convert it into. Now, when someone says, oh, you're trying to get it a good deal by giving them a 4%, so you're upselling it, that's what they buy at. These investment groups, I won't say their names, wealth management groups, some of them are from America, some are overseas, etc., etc.
Yep.
This is what they predominantly buy. Let's say, for example, if you was to put your investments into stocks and shares and stuff like that, that's similar, right? It's how they hold people's pension pots money. They absolutely love the model to a point where they get heavily involved in this cycle. They know that, let's say in 5 years' time from now, the block we're currently working on, they might purchase it. So it's not about if it sells, it's when it sells. Hence why we've broken it down into, if it's the first year, it's likely. More so, to be honest, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yep.
But each development is different. When, it's not if, it's when they're sold.
Oh, definitely.
That's when it happens again. Now, am I right in thinking it? Because there's a lot of questions from investors recently as we get to know this new product. For example, what are my options then? Is it fair to say that they have two options then? They can withdraw all of their money. Thank you very much. And there's no contract at that point. They don't have to continue. What most investors want to then do is to, let's say they've had the uplift and overall it's 40% or 30%, whatever it is. They can re-go again because we have these available, buy two or whatever, and then it happens again.
Of course, yeah.
Now, one of the things, I think this is phenomenal, by the way, being involved in, as especially with your background to the commercial and putting together what we've learned at Unique, I think it's fair to say that there is nothing, like what you did say that, there is nothing out there on the market like this.
Yep.
The amount of investment groups that have reached out and gone, fair play to you, that is a banging investment. 2, banging, where'd that word come from? That is a phenomenal investment. 2, can we copy it? Can we sell it, etc., etc.? We have a partnership program, but that's only for the select few. But overall, I don't think you can get a better investment. It's fixed against an asset that you're going to get the fractional shares of. You get your money sat there protected. If you've got money in the bank these days, 4 or 5%, if you're lucky, you get.
Yeah.
If you got £500,000 in the bank, you bank with the Queen Company, whatever it's called, you might get 6%. Very unlikely. But Typically, let's not beat around the bush. I think I got one the other day, a letter through, so it's 3.6. That was it Barclays? Anyway, 4-5%. Let's put it out there, 3-4%. Some people pitch and go to the bank, so they give you 1-2%. It's around. If it's fixed, I think with Metro, it's not Metro. Revolt, they give us for 4.9 or whatever it is. So let's just say it's 4-5%. This product, overall, when you wrap it up with those things that has to happen, not only do you get your capital back, it's fixed against an asset that's government leased for 25 years, and you get the upsell, not if, when that happens.
Exactly.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's when me and you mapped this out 6 months ago, I was like, can you imagine if this actually come to fruition?
Yeah.
What a lot of people don't realise, and ultimately it's not there for us to make you realise, but we want to be very transparent in what we do. We haven't necessarily jumped through hoops to come at the end of it, we've got the golden ticket. We got very, very creative with our creativity, 2, our knowledge and experience, but also what an investment should be. Let's put it down to what good looks like, so to speak. Taught me that in my corporate days many years ago. And we're forever thriving to make anything what good looks like. I think it's fair to say this investment is what good looks like, right?
I think it is. I mean, it's ring fenced in every single element. Clients are protected. Even the legal team that we're using, I won't mention their name, but they're highly experienced. I mean, they're gentlemen, in their 50s in terms of they're lawyers. They know what they're talking about.
Their feedback is exceptional.
Yeah, they've said this is so creative, but it's absolutely brilliant. And the way that you've come at this and the way you've wanted to structure it, and obviously the contracts that are written around that, they said, specifically from the FCA point of view, they're happy putting it forward to the FCA, and I won't go into the process of how all that happens, that it is pretty much a guaranteed. There is no loss element because it's asset backed, because of the contracts in place with the providers, and because then what we're doing with the pension funds and so on and so forth. And so, that's an independent legal team stating that. That's not us. And we're over the moon with it because we know how powerful it's going to be within the market. Yeah, there'll be loads of people that want to try and copy it. Good luck.
Well, not only on that,
it'll take you some time.
It's something we're incredibly proud of. It's cost us a small fortune. It's not about that. It's the benefits to other people. Astronomical.
Yeah.
We have a database of investors. It's huge. It's cost us millions to build over the years. And we reached out to 500. And 400 responded. I don't think the others, was it 400? Yeah, 400 responded. The other 100 just didn't respond for whatever reason, or had their own opinion, not a negative one, but 400 responded. Out of those 400, I think 100 people were lined up to buy them. We pre-launched it a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
100 people. I think by the time we left the office at 8 o'clock that evening, 100 people had signed pre-contracts. And we've got around the old Lewis Hall days of beating around numbers and stuff like that. But I want to put that into an equation. It's £1 million-ish.
Yep.
£1 million in a day. That's going to be, there's investments up and down the country on, and what people don't realise is we go back to this is probably a different podcast. Opportunities and money is everywhere. The amount of investors that are coming back to us. Now, don't get me wrong, we've got the product at 150 to 200 grand. You can own the whole thing, but not everyone's got £150,000 sat around. Some might have 15,000. Yes, we've sold other investments before, but the risk involved in that, and investors were fully aware of the risk involved. But when you look at the risk here, what is the risk element? If I was to ask you that question, because I've got what I will share with is my risk, but I just want to put that out there. Let's. What would you say is there any risk involved in it? And if so, what would you say that risk was?
Well, look, all investments, just the nature of an investment, your money can go up, your money can go down.
Yeah,
that is investing. The risk element has been mitigated and controlled in every single area. Now, if we enter World War III, that's going to affect it. But other than that, if there's a massive crash in the property market within the next 5 to 25 years, that could put a pause on it. But
am I right in thinking just on that from what you said in terms, because there are risks in anything we do, there's risks in getting out of bed, right?
Yeah.
There's risks in crossing the road. We want to be transparent here, where most people don't tell you about stuff like this. It's going back to the podcast we done the other week talking about rent-to-rent social housing. It sounds fantastic until you realise it's got a 2-month break clause, similar to that. But that would only impact the resale, right? I mean, because they're leased out for 25 years, it's leased out for 25 years.
Yeah, so the people that are being housed in the buildings, in the apartments, are it's all to do with assisted living. It's people with learning difficulties, special needs, mental health, those sort of people, and the buildings they're being housed in are specifically chosen by the housing providers. We put in front of them first what they want. They look at the properties before they're even taken on board and then redeveloped. So they're already let it in effect. As soon as the property's ready, the contract starts for 25 years. So those sort of people, they're not going to just pick them up and put them somewhere else. It's a long-term strategy in place. I think interestingly, the 25-year lease that was sold to Canada Life then renegotiated with the housing provider externally to us, and pushed it to a 40-year lease.
Yeah.
So that's how strong the contracts are, and that's how the contracts that the housing provider has to support these people, it's in place. So that's rock solid.
So I think it's fair to say where we go into the CEO and the founder is what we do in the Sensitive podcast. We have different skill sets. I think it's fair to say your skill set is more the creative legal side with this listeners, and I think it's fair to say you spent hundreds and hundreds of hours with these legal teams. And again, not to say that that's not my forte, because it's not. That's what you do. The thing that I spoke about is the risk involved in this, and these are all good things, right? Because I think you've ring fenced it, and that's a fair word to use. Ring fenced is I learned that from you, by the way. Because the only thing that I looked at, and the solicitor agreed, is the fact that it could happen in year 2, it could happen in year 5. The worst case scenario, it could be year 6.
Yeah, for sure.
And that was for me, and just to identify, that was my first thing. Let's look at, and this is well documented.
And the longer it goes on, the higher the ROI.
I was just about to say that. Because I had someone the other day said, Lewis, I've just bought 4 from one of the staff downstairs. Can you put it in my contract that you don't buy it back? Because if I've worked out, if I keep it at year 10, I'll be at this. And I said, unfortunately not. It's not available, because you'd stop that whole cycle, going back to the whole cycle of the property and stuff like that. Now, if the only thing that's wrong with this, it could go on. This isn't an investment. If you want to pull your money out in a year's time, it's probably not for you. Well, it's not for you, right? If you want an asset, is there stuff that's more riskier? We've had this conversation before on other podcasts.
Loads of products are more
unfortunately, risky. And I understand it, because I'm a risky individual, you're a risky individual, but I call it a calculated risk. There are people out there that love that risk element, and they're being sold to by someone. If you're someone out there and you want something that's fixed against an asset that we own, we buy them all the time. We don't use your money and go buy an asset. We're constantly buying these assets. That means that we're in full control. If you've only got £15,000-16,000 to start, if you put this out there and you've got a panel of bankers and solicitors out there and put that out with every single investment out there, this would speak volumes. And it's something that we are incredibly proud not only to announce and showcase, but to deliver to these investors. The feedback from them is phenomenal. Now, like I said before, I just want to make that crystal clear that this is all part of a cycle.
Yeah.
The cycle has to work, otherwise it doesn't hit. The operations, the developers we work with in the background, he's done this all his life, done this for the last 22 years. This is not something that we're jumping on the bandwagon of. It's something that's already there. We got invited to get involved in it a year and a half ago. What we've done now is paramount in terms of not only the investment we put together for the investors, but the end user. It just creates a win-win-win situation. I haven't got 15 grand, I've more got 80. You can buy more. You can go anything you're comfortable to invest. But what we say to anyone is just start at the bottom, get used to it. There are some people downstairs today. We're in our investment centre. One's bought 5, one's bought 6, one's bought 7.
I think also the important point to note about the resale of the asset, and will it happen? Yes, it will happen. But
it's not if, it's when, right?
Yeah, us as a business. So structuring this and putting this together. This is a long-term investment strategy for us as well as a business. But we make our money as well with you on the sale. So that's why we're working directly with the developer as well. My old black book of contacts in various banks and investment firms. It's in our interest to get the sale happening at the best value possible over and above what you get.
Let me be rude and jump in there. Someone asked yesterday, because we've done some live to some of our investors, and they were like, sounds amazing. Tell me when the last one was sold. It took 18 months.
Yeah.
So one of the investors goes, well, I want 60%. if it's sold, it's sold. At that point, so bearing in mind, all of this has spent years and years and years of work. We've already got the next 16 sites, each, and that's 700 units. This will go on for a very, very, very long time. Me and you have got lots of them. Our accountant says it's the best we've ever invested in. I don't have enough. I've run out of money. I can't wait to make more money to put into it. I generally mean that.
Well, we're currently in negotiation with the previous block that we were doing, previous blocks that we were doing, and we're looking at that sale going through in September this year.
And that one's around the 2-year mark, is that right? Or a bit over?
That will be, yeah, no, so it's around
2.5 by the time
years, yeah.
By the time the conveyancing will be done, I would say that's 2.5 years. Now, there's endless amounts of these within reason. It makes me incredibly proud that we've put this together.
Yeah.
But yes, just to go back to my point, 18 months from the last unit we sold in that block to negotiate with, are we allowed to say the company's name? It's out there, isn't it?
Which company?
The person who bought it. It's all over documents.
Well, Canada Life.
Canada Life.
Yeah.
So Canada Life bought that
knowledge.
for millions.
Yeah.
18 million or whatever it was. And it was, they were to say they were happy was an understatement. They then renegotiated the lease for 40 years. The investors that were there went and got something else. It's just what we do. The people in the background that's part of this, that gave us this opportunity 2 years ago, because they looked into, we won't say other companies at this point, there are other investment companies out there that were pitching to get these contracts. Guess what? They come to us.
Yeah.
I'm incredibly proud, and that was with you opening that door. They went to Christian, the CEO of Unique, and saw our ability to operate in huge numbers. They tested us on some products. We delivered it. And here we are today. And it's something that, I keep saying it, incredibly proud.
Yeah.
In being able to offer investment products. The fact that we are getting them ring-fenced around the FCA protection underneath someone else's umbrella while we go through that process ourselves. But to take 100 pre-sales in one day of nearly £1 million, the numbers are relevant. It doesn't come to us. We haven't made £1 million in a day,
no.
By the way. The old Lewis Hall 5 years ago to put a Facebook post out, made £1 million. We didn't. We added a lot of value. And don't get me wrong, we get paid our fees. But like what you said, our fees are paid when we sell the building.
Yeah.
So and that was the risk. That's a risk for us, not for anyone investing. So let's say a fractional is around 16,200, wherever it is. That money doesn't come to us whatsoever. When we sell the building, we get an admin fee to cover our costs. It's small. It's nothing worth. It's 200, 300 quid. It's not even that. But when we get paid, because you wanted to structure it this way, and I thought it was fantastic. We get paid our money. We put our money where our mouth is.
Yep.
We get paid our money when we sell the building. You get 15% of it. I literally think the problem we can have is we can't sell enough. It's all about getting across the understanding of how powerful this product is. If anyone listening's got any questions across the platforms this is at,
reach out to us. Yeah,
feel free to comment below. Me and Christian work extremely close together. This is our HQ where the podcast is filmed at. We are the only hands-off investment company in the UK. We don't really have an open door policy. You can't just walk in the door. But if you rung up today on one of the appointments this afternoon, come and meet us. Come and see our operations as we've done before. I generally believe, I'm not going to keep saying it, I think it's one of the best investment products, if not the best in products out there for the people that that sort of entry point on the market.
But there's absolutely nothing. There's nothing on the market as secure as this that you could enter into at £16,000 and within a 5-year period get a 60% return on investment. There's absolutely nothing. There is nothing.
On that note, I think we should end it here.
Yeah.
I like I said, I want to keep saying I'm proud of this as you are, but I think that's a very good note to end on. If anyone wants any more information, I'm sure there's going to be a link around this podcast. If not, we appreciate you listening. We'll see you on the next one.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.